skirt, baba.
When we talk about Black Clover, we typically focus on Asta and the misfits that are the Black Bulls. In fact, in our last video, we broke down how powerful Asta has become up to this point. But we can't discuss Black Clover's powerful mages without also paying attention to the Black Bull's rivals and counterparts, and the Clover Kingdom's strongest squad, the Golden Dawn. And specifically Asta's rival, the man loved by Mana itself, Yuno Grinberryall. To be fair, he seems more like a shonen manga protagonist more than the actual protagonist anyway. Like Asta, Yuno also vows to become the Wizard King. But just how close is he to reaching this goal? And with his most recent power-up, how does he stack up to his rival? Welcome to Cosplay-FTW, your #1 source for the latest lowdown on anime and manga news, updates and analysis. Sit back, relax, and before we get into this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. Today, we'll be diving deep into Black Clover's Yuno to analyze just how powerful he has become throughout his journey in the anime and manga. We'll also be analyzing all of his known abilities up until the latest manga arc. Before we jump in, fair warning, there will be spoilers for the anime and manga, so if you don't want to get spoiled, we'll give you a chance to exit out of the video. Ready? Let's dive in. First of all, can we just say how insane Yuno's latest power-ups are? If you had a feeling that Yuno was broken before, the Spade Arc confirms it. All jokes aside though, Yuno just keeps coming back with more and more abilities, and we're all for it. With Asta's latest level up, it seemed like he was completely out of Yuno's league. But with the most recent developments, Yuno might have just matched that and raised him one. Let's talk about how present Yuno compares in terms of power and ability. As always, we will be covering all areas of Yuno's power, from physical strength to magic and spells, equipment, intellect, and balance this out with his weaknesses. To start off this video, let's get into a brief backstory on Yuno Grinberryall, and we promise this won't take long. Yuno was dropped off at the same time as Asta at the church in Hage Village, with the two growing up together there as foster brothers. Both receive their grimoires when they come of age, with Yuno receiving a 4-leaf Clover grimoire and Asta 5. We discover that Yuno is the vessel that houses the soul of the son begotten by Licht, leader of the elf tribe, and Tesha, the younger sister of the first magic emperor, Lemuel Silvermillion Clover. And if that isn't enough, the most recent chapters divulge Yuno's true identity as the true and rightful heir of the House of Grinberryall, the former royal family of the Spade Kingdom, before the Sograta siblings attacked and took over. This development gives even more meaning to his destined battle against the last of the Dark Triad, Xenon Zogratis. In fact, this standoff between Xenon and Yuno might be Togata's greatest achievements in terms of character paralleling and foils thus far. But more on that later. With magic potential being mostly hereditary, it's no wonder why Yuno himself has always been described as being very much loved by Mana. With his Grinberryall royal blood lineage, as well as being the spiritual descendant of a powerful elf and a Clover royal, Yuno literally had no choice but to be something special. Some people even speculate that his ties to several royal bloodlines means that he is the perfect candidate to unite all the 4 kingdoms, and we can see the beauty in this thought. Due to his ancestry, Yuno has abundant mana reserves that far exceed his peers, giving him the ability to wield magic and cast spells far beyond the capacity of average and even very proficient mages. This is why he is considered a prodigy and a zero-stage magician. His extreme prowess and power allowing him to quickly rise up the ranks to vice-captain in the magic corps that he is part of, the Golden Dawn. Now we already know that Yuno's greatest strength doesn't lie in physical power, but his strength is still nothing to sneeze at. Togata's official ranking placed him in the top 10 most physically strong characters at the time. He was ranked at the number 10 spot, just above Magna, which is pretty respectable, and actually makes sense when you think about it. Since Yuno had always been Asta's rival, and Asta is very much physically inclined, It makes sense that Yuno would also want to keep up with his rival in this sphere as well. So despite the fact that he definitely lags behind in this aspect compared to the former, it still makes sense that he still wouldn't want to fall too far behind. Yuno's greatest power lies in his ridiculous innate magical powers and abilities. Being the prince of the Spade Kingdom, Yuno was born with a seemingly infinite mana pool, as well as huge amounts of magic power. He's easily pulled off feats like casting 2 spells at the same time with little to no effort. Yuno's affinity for mana and how it works lends him enhanced sensing in this area, allowing him to see the flow of mana in the form of a flock of bird-like beings. As far as his magical abilities, Yuno can use Mana Zone, an ability that most mages use to increase the spell power and as well as cast spells remotely, as long as it's within their mana zone. And of course, he is also capable of using Mana Skin to protect himself from some magic attacks and the elements. Yuno's 4-leaf Clover Grimoire, the one belonging to the Clover Kingdom, contains various spells with the affinity for wind magic. It's 4 leaves showing his extreme affinity and proficiency for magic. But as stated before, we learn that wind magic is actually the magic affinity of the spirit of the elf inside him. Yuno has powerful wind magic based spells, such as Towering Tornado, Tornado Fang, Crescent Kametachi, and Gale White Bow. Being a mostly mid to long range fighter, all of these spells are likewise mid to long range. Additionally, we've seen Yuno use a myriad of creation magic spells, used to create objects to support or fight during battle. Most notably, Wind Blade Shower, a long-range offensive technique where Yuno generates blades made of solid wind and controls them remotely. Swift White Hawk, a spell that creates a hawk made entirely out of wind and is able to perform any of the tasks he tells the hawk to do. He can freely adjust the size of this manifestation, enlarging or shrinking it as needed. It can also be used for travel. And Heavenly Wind Arc, a transportation type of spell, used to carry him and his teammates. As the name suggests, it is an arc made entirely out of condensed wind and is strong and dense enough to carry the weight of Yuno and his teammates. In addition to wind magic, Yuno is also capable of using spirit magic, with the wind spirit Sylph, making his wind magic that much more powerful. Along with a myriad of powerful wind-based spells, Yuno has access to Spirit Dive. Being contracted to Sylph, the spirit of wind, Yuno can merge with her, increasing his already massive pool of mana as well as his spell power. With training, he managed to increase the percentage of power he's able to use after assimilating the contracted spirit into his body. Whereas before Yuno's Spirit Dive form sees him half transformed similar to Black Asta, in the Spade Arc he trained to use this power at a greater efficiency, and the green mana that cloaked only the left side of his body now cloaks his body fully, with a complete crown on his head as well as a complete set of wings on his back. Some of these abilities are Spirit Storm. In Spirit Dive form, Yuno gathers mana into his palm and releases the mana in his hand, forming a dense beam that has the attributes of wind magic. Spirit's Hushed Dance. In Spirit Dive form, Yuno takes control of the mana around him and uses this to enhance his senses to be able to evade better. Liable Tempest. In Spirit Dive form, Yuno encases his enemies in a cocoon-like made completely of wind, trapping them. Yuno can also manifest weapons made completely of mana as a form of wind spirit-based creation magic, as we see with Spirit of Boreas, Eurus, and Zephyr. We've already seen that Spirit Dive Yuno has incredible magic attacks, capable of going toe-to-toe with captain-level characters like Rill and Elf Arc Claws and Hammond. But in the battle against Xenon, Yuno has been able to achieve near 100% resonance with Sylph, achieving Saint Stage, just as Noelle was able to do with Undine. This makes him also capable of purifying malice and destroying evils. And as of chapter 309, Yuno possesses not one, but 2 grimoires. His true affinity lies within his second one, the Spade Grimoire. With this, Yuno awakens the power that is truly his own, revealing himself to possess star magic. But hold on, everybody said Asta would be the one to get star magic. I mean, just look at his astral name and starry-eyed personality. And of course, isn't Asta the shining star of the show? Doesn't it only make sense? We sincerely apologize to anyone who was anticipating Asta receiving star magic. With the king of Grinberry or Lois wielding sun magic, and his mother Seal, moon magic, the special brand of magic passed down to Yuno is star magic, making him our star boy now. I'm a motherfucking star boy. Okay, we'll stop now. But it's interesting that up until this point in the series, Yuno has never used his own magic, but the magic of the elf. Throughout the series, Yuno has actually mirrored Asta in this way, never having ever used his own magic throughout the series. But looking back, this has always been foreshadowed to us in the form of the magic stone on Yuno's necklace. Just looking at the design, we see that the emblem consists of a cross and four four-pointed stars. The cross represents the four directions, north, south, east and west, referencing the winds. This is further supported since as we see his spirit magic created weapons pay homage to the Greek wind gods. Spirit of Boreas references the north wind which takes the form of a wholebeard. Spirit of Eurus references the east wind, a recurved bow and arrow. Spirit of Zephyr, the west wind, takes the form of a two-handed blade, and we've yet to see in the manga what we know is coming next. Notos, the god of the south wind. By the way, let us know which weapon you think this one will be. And of course, the stars on the magic stone would reference the magic he was destined to awaken all along. Star magic. The karmic meeting between Yuno and Zenon climaxes with Zenon discovering that the child he had let slip through his grasp years ago has survived and returned. And with the reclamation of his true powers, this serves as a symbolic reclaiming of Yuno's rightful place as the prince and saviour of his country. Yuno's star magic spells have been shown to be constellation and nakshatra based thus far, as well as astronomical terminology. The first being star magic, quartile scutum, a constellation, and then conjunction, a term when cosmic bodies or planets align very closely in the sky when viewed from Earth. Yuno uses conjunction to teleport himself between the stars he conjures, this allowing him to escape from Zenon's subspace spatial magic. After using quartile, Asta, one of the 28 nakshatras, or lunar mansions in Vedic astrology, to blast a hole through Zenon. I think a really interesting thing to note here is that all nakshatras have a planetary ruler as well as a nakshatra lord. The planetary ruler of Hasta nakshatra is the moon, and its ruling deity is Sporya, the god of the sun. This really feels like the perfect spell to symbolize the combination of his mother's moon magic affinity and his father's sun magic affinities, and how they culminate to create Yuno's unique magic element. Its element is Agni, or fire, and so it makes a lot of sense that this spell took the form of a beam of light that burned a hole straight through Zenon. Nakshatras also fall under three main groups: Deva, divine; Manusha, human; or Rakshasa, demonic. We might be reaching here, but the quality of the nakshatra type spell used here might serve as a clue to tell us the quality of the new magic Yuno just acquired. Hasta is of the divine group of nakshatras. What Yuno may possess might be a divine or celestial type of magic. This is also speculated by quite a few other theorists, and this is strongly suggested by Zenon's heavenly magic extinction spell. It's just beautiful to see the amount of research Togata puts into this manga. And if Togata is really sticking with these themes of heavenly and cosmic bodies, that means Yuno may have a total of 88 constellation-based spells, as well as 27 additional nakshatra-based spells at his disposal. But of course, we'll just have to see. Star magic also seems to be a form of arcane stage magic. We've never seen it manifested before, and aren't completely aware of its properties. We've seen it used both offensively and defensively in chapter 309. In the past, Yuno has shown speed feats capable of putting him at faster than light. Spirit Dive Yuno is confirmed to move at this speed when he dodges FTL light magic with Mana Zone during the Elf Invasion arc. And, with his newest teleportation ability, His ability to travel instantaneously between 2 points makes him far surpass Asta in terms of speed. Also, just like Asta, Yuno is now dual wielding with a whip in one hand and a sword in the other. What we really want to see though is Yuno combining wind and star magic even further for some really insane spells. Imagine what kind of star and wind based spells are possible. Quasars? Supernovas? Black holes? The sky is very literally the limit. And if star magic ends up being a heavenly or celestial form of magic, we might see an angel type form from Yuno, truly contrasting with Asta's devil theme and anti-magic. In terms of intellect, Yuno has been recognized as a genius from a young age, since he easily mastered basic magic and received the 4-leaf Clover grimoire. Despite the egoism this may have caused in him, Yuno's still very hard-working, and part of his genius is not innate talent, but his willingness to practice magic constantly, instead of simply being complacent like his noble counterparts. With the swiftness at which Yuno was able to effectively use his star magic, there's no doubt of Yuno's high intellect. Although Yuno himself has trained to the point of exhaustion, is a holder of an elemental spirit, is loved by Mana, and owns not one, but 2 grimoires, he still has some weaknesses. One of the most prominent ones being his elemental weakness. Just like how water will work against fire, there exists maybe one or more elements and types of magic that are effective against wind no matter how strong it is. Additionally, his attacks and spells can be cancelled out using anti-magic. Now, when we factor in star magic, this changes things. We just don't know the extent of it yet. Further, Yuno is primarily a mid to long range fighter. He's a powerful and fast attacker, but unlike Asta who can tank hits, Yuno's limitations lie in his defense. Finally, Yuno's last notable weakness, in our opinion, is mental. He's someone who prefers to do most everything alone, including fighting. We know that no man is an island, and there are limits to what can be done by oneself. All in all, Yuno's an extremely capable mage, and his juxtaposition with Zenon was, in our opinion, the most interesting way Togata could completely change power scaling in Black Clover permanently. Both characters' upgrades, the acquisition of a devil heart, and a second grimoire were completely unprecedented events. We know that we will be seeing even stronger villains in the future. He is looking at the eldest Zogratis sibling. And whether Yuno is a special one-off case, or it becomes possible for others to gain more than one grimoire, remains to be seen. But just imagine if there are other characters capable of gaining more than one grimoire as well. Well, that was our analysis of Black Clover's very own Yuno Grinberry all. Do you agree with what we said? If not, maybe comment down below anything we missed, or if you have something to add as well. If you liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, and while you're at it, why not consider subscribing to our channel and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on our uploads. Check out more of our videos on our channel, and we hope to see you again next time.